Do you find in writing, even those of you who write fiction, which you say even then you do reveal something about yourself, that you cringe at the reaction of, gee, I'd rather not have known that about you?
Yes.
From readers?
But people always think that a novel is a kind of autobiography. I wrote a series of novels about a fat, constipated poet who wrote his poems in the lavatory and made ghastly stews for himself, was sexually impotent, and this has always been identified with me. I can assure you it's not really an identification at all. Whereas it's an invention. It's a total invention. But, we're committing this cardinal sin of getting away from the object, aren't we? Getting away from your book. Can I ask you something else about this, a bigger love affair than a love affair with writing, or with this kind of new hybrid, which is not quite entertainment, not quite instruction, not quite anything, and the stage itself? I get a feeling from this book that you have a deep passion for the stage. Is this true?
For appearing on it or for seeing
it?
No,
for the whole process, for the whole dramatic process, and especially for professional comedy.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. I know, were an actor. You played the part of Ragueneau once in Cyrano de Bergerac, didn't you?
That's right, in a musical version of all things.
I know, well, yeah. Am I right in supposing this is the central passion?
It is. I sort of quelled it, I guess, but I know that as a kid, I fell in love with the idea of being in theater. I remember standing backstage once at a junior high school stage, and there was no one around. I just happened to wander in there, and there were the curtains and the flies and the lights and the sandbags, and I just thought, I want this to be my life in some corny way, like in a corny movie. And I've acted and so on. But yeah, there is some abiding affection for it, but I suppose you'd have to say it's unfulfilled.
If one of us here wrote a play for you, would you be prepared to act in it?
Not after the description you just gave of your character.
No, I've finished with that character. I'll think of a new one. Will you act in it?
Sure, try me. I don't know how good I am. I was kind of funny in comedies, as a light comedy in summer stock. My wife points out, however, that when I had to act serious things, I made people laugh, which was not wanted. It's a little embarrassing during the death scene to hear snickering in the audience and cat calls and yeah.
If the television somehow would end for you, suddenly, as a result of the book, let's say, what would you do then?
If television would end for me?
Yes, what would you do then?
I don't know. You see, partly I've never had a plan for my life. That's what makes me hard to figure out about myself.
The book doesn't go into the future.
I don't.
You don't speculate about. Do you see yourself as an old man, old constipated author?
No, I don't.
One day it's going to happen, though.
Yeah, I know, but I've never had this plan. I've always felt that I was like the ball in a pinball machine that sort of went on a logical route, but only after you looked at it afterwards. I hadn't really planned it. I don't know how I got here. Except when I look back over it, it seems to be logical, but it was not my plan.
This tells how you got here.
I'm a rudderless ship.
He's just a slip of a boy.
Yes, but what about the future, though? How this, again, it tells a lot about the past and a lot about the present. Hardly anything about the future.
I can't
And
deal
yet
with
that
it.
Marvel one day will change. Now, how do you see yourself?
I don't know. Does it make me sick that I can't answer that? Am I weird? Am I strange?
How old are you, Dick? How old are you?
I don't know.
No, tell me. Come on, how old are you?
Well, what do you prefer?
The truth.
37.
That is your age?
Yeah.
Oh, you're young. Oh, my God, it's marvelous.
And you have been telling me how much an older woman I am than you, and it's not that bad.
It isn't?
Give me the book.
It's not? Well, what's a gap of 20 years? I mean, I know.
Which way? Good fellow.
What did you dislike about me in the book, Barbara?
I didn't dislike anything. I wanted to come on here and rip you up. I really have had a great desire to get at you since you told me when I said you make older women look good like Betty Davis and Katharine Hepburn. He said, I'm not a plastic surgeon. I can do nothing with you. But I liked the book.
I said that to you?
Yes, on the air.
That's awful.
I like the book. There's no way to get around the fact that it is a good, fun book. And I disagree with Jerzy. I think he's precisely the same in the book as he is on the air, as he is in person.
Oh, yes, but what about years from now? Because, look, there's something very interesting. Now, you have on this show...
Why are you pursuing this thing about the future?
Because you are confronting people here on the show who, in many ways, very often, are you 20 years from now. Old actors, past politicians, people who are brilliant, beautiful, accomplished, famous. And you get them on the show and you dissect them. I don't want to use names because very often they collapse on your show. One man died on your show, Cavett. He actually died. Now,
that's true.
Yet there's no future.
You're not blaming me, however.
No. But that may be another book, since you are very articulate. This is a very articulate book. You live in a very articulate environment. Your wife, who's an accomplished actress, who writes just as well. I remember her profile of Elizabeth Taylor and Richard Burton in Time magazine.
Well, I wrote to her and told her she must write a book, yes.
Yes, you're getting a fan letter from you made her day.
I look forward to that.
Here you are, so to speak, on the top of that mountain now, and you get the guests who used to be on the top of the mountain. Do you see yourself? And maybe that it should follow somehow. Maybe as a fiction. Project yourself into that future. It will come very quickly. I mean, a few commercials.
Apparently, I can't deal with the future. I don't know.
Jerzy, who wants to deal with the future? And I think the whole book is nothing but a very ambitious young man with a sense of humor that hides his insecurities, who wants peace. And I think he has to get off this set to find peace.
I say my last thing. I say, at the age of 37, he's finished one segment of his life.
Precisely.
And now a new segment must begin.
That's part of the reason for writing, isn't it? You can get that over with, and then now you can move on. To what?
Yeah,
that's
Perhaps a talent scout is watching. We'll be back after this message.